Welcome to Colors of Perth, where we bring life stories together. My name is Yamuna and I am your host in this journey. Have you ever stopped to think how the street people are living, how they are staying warm in the cold nights without blanket, how they are surviving without food? We often wonder who talks to them, who looks after them. So we have someone with us who do exactly someone who stands beside you when you feel lonely. Let's welcome Dee in Colors of Perth today. Welcome to Colors of Perth.
Thank you, Mona. It's great to be here. Yeah, Street Chaplains WA is into its 19th year and we are growing rapidly because, as you said, the number of people on the streets is growing rapidly. That is for so many reasons, because of rentals and because of the crisis that's going on around the world. And we see so many people now sleeping rough on the streets. So that is what we are seeing every day. And we're talking children, families, women on their own, just such a variety of people who are living on the streets all across Western Australia.
When you started Street Chaplain, how old were you?
When I started Street Chaplains, I was in my 40s. And initially we were created at the suggestion of the police to help the party goers in the entertainment precincts. Now, we still do that. We have chaplains out tonight, for example, until 3, 4, 5 a.m. in the morning. People come out of the nightclubs, and once they've had too many drinks, they become vulnerable. And unfortunately, here in Perth and in all the cities, there are predators that look out for young ladies and young men who are intoxicated, and they will take advantage.
So how did you start this?
It was started 19 years ago by a man called Dr. Garth Icorn, as I said, at the suggestion of the police. And so 12 people started this organisation here in Perth.
So the first was Perth?
The first was Perth. And they walked the streets of Northbridge. It started at 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday nights. And they walk the streets looking for people who are in trouble.
That's how it started?
That's how it started.
So have you always been with this organisation?
No, previous to this I was a missionary in Indonesia and I was working with people that have the death penalty. So that is a similar but different sort of thing, because when people go out in the streets of Perth, nobody goes out to have a bad time. Nobody intends to go out and have a bad night, but things happen.
Yes.
In the same way, when people go to Indonesia, they don't go to have a bad time. They don't go to get arrested. We've all done something stupid in our lives, but they got caught. That's the difference. And so the two tied in so well together. And every time I came back to Perth, I'd go out in the streets of Perth and help people on the streets and then go back to Indonesia. And then COVID came and I couldn't go back to Indonesia as often as I wanted. And so I took over as the state director. And from there, we've seen Street Chaplains grow all across Western Australia, from far north in Kununurra to down south in Albany, and 14 centres all around. But here in Metro, we have Street Chaplains in Fremantle, Hillary's, Armidale.
Among them, which one do you think is the most vulnerable one?
Perth Northbridge.
Perth Northbridge.
Yes, it has the largest population of those sleeping on the streets.
Yes.
And of course, it has the biggest entertainment precinct.
True.
And so there's a lot of amazing services here in Perth. So if people are homeless, they come to the city.
Why do you think that there's lots of homeless people in Perth?
There's a lot of people here in Perth because this is where the most services are for them. So every day of the week here in Perth, they can get a cooked meal. Every day they can have a hot shower. So all those services operate 7 days a week here in Perth. Whereas in the outer suburbs, they are basically Monday to Friday.
Do you go out every day? Every night?
Here in Perth, we are out 4 nights a week, and we have some day patrols as well, because people are homeless night and day. And so that's some of our very busy patrols during the day.
How is your normal day look like?
Depending if it's a day patrol or a night patrol, but let me give you a normal day for a chaplain going out at night. So we start at 9 p.m. and we go to the police briefing, and they will talk about what is happening, what weapons might be out in the streets at the moment, what drugs are causing the most issues, and very equipping for our chaplains to know before they go in the streets. And so we'll collect our bags, and in our bags we carry everything that is required to save a life. We carry a defibrillator, and we've used it too many times. I'm talking on young people who are lying on the floor dying, and people just walk past them.
Isn't it scary for you to go and help them?
No, because when I look at these ones, I picture that could have been me, could have been my child, could have been a family member. For example, on New Year's Eve, I was out on the streets, and it was very busy with lots of families having a wonderful night, seeing the fireworks. And we walked through the Murray Street Mall outside of Myers, and there was a man lying on the concrete. He'd obviously fallen, and people were just walking past him. I mean, not one person stopped. We saw his feet as we came along and got to him very quickly. There was a lot of people in front of us who just looked at him and kept going. That does not compute to me. So as we got to him, we realised he was in a very bad way. And I got on the phone to 000, and they said, Street Chaplains, great. You carry a defib, don't you? We said, yes, we do. And I can honestly say, in all of our patrols in 19 years, not one person has died when we've been caring for them.
That's a good thing.
Not one. So beside the defibrillator, which we use a lot, we carry naloxone, and that is a drug reversal spray, and we spray it up people's nose. So if they have had an opioid drug, it will reverse it, which is amazing.
Is that quick?
It is very quick. If they haven't had an opioid drug and they've had something like gases or methamphetamine, it won't reverse them. So then we go into our emergency first aid care.
But how would you know that what they take?
Because if we try the spray on them, it will work very quickly.
So if it works, then yes. If it doesn't work, then no.
Then no, we know they've taken another sort of drug. And another story, we came across a beautifully dressed young lady, and she was sitting in an alcove, but we could not wake her. I mean, she would have been 18, 19, obviously dressed up to go out. Beautiful young lady. We used the nasal spray on her, and this beautiful little girl became like a wild horse because the effects of the drug just roar within them as they're coming out of it, and so they become wild. And so we have to be mindful of that. But it saved her life.
Yes.
That's all that matters.
Who is there to back up for your protection?
The police. So there's always two of us that go out in pairs. So if there's somebody on the floor and I'm helping them, there's always another chaplain behind me that has my back. Because somebody sees somebody leaning over on the floor, they don't know that we've got good intentions, and they'll come running at us and try and push us out of the way. So we've always got pairs to look out for each other. But we work very closely with the WA Police, the City Rangers here in Perth. Yes. They're amazing. And we all work together to protect somebody's child.
Yeah, I know. It could be ours. It could be our family.
Exactly.
It could be anyone.
Yeah. And so when we have to make phone calls late at night to parents, if their child is critically unwell and we've brought them back from the brink of death and they go off in an ambulance, we'll ring the family. And of course, it's horrible to get that phone call, but it would be a lot worse if they had the police knocking on their door a few hours later.
True. So when you go outside in the street, usually what kind of people you get?
The venue owners of nightclubs will call us. You know, if a young lady has passed out or been found unconscious in the bathroom of a nightclub,
they will call you.
They'll call us. I've climbed under toilet doors a number of times. But again, I just think that could have been my child.
Yes.
If their drink has been spiked, that's rampant here in Western Australia, drink spiking.
So have you ever experienced that they try to attack you?
No, because we've been around 20 years, a lot of people are familiar with our uniform.
So do you go out with your uniform?
Yes, we do wear this, and in the winter we wear a jacket that's also very bright. So they do recognise that we are there to help, that we're not police, we're not going to have them arrested. There are some very angry people out there.
True.
And in 19 years, we have made one insurance claim because all of our chaplains, of course, are insured because they're all volunteers. Every chaplain is a volunteer that gives their time to pay for their training and go out on the streets. So, of course, they're insured. One insurance claim in 19 years, and that was when a precious lady tripped over her own feet in a skate park in Fremantle. There was no violence, there was no incident. She just stumbled and she cracked the corner of her tooth. So, of course, insurance covered that.
When the people outside the streets see you, they would be more happier than seeing the police.
Absolutely. When we get called to a scene, they realise then that they have got a much better opportunity because the police come in, they have a job to do. They're always time poor, so they have to resolve these situations quickly. So if there's people that start to shove each other and looks like a fight is brewing, if we can get there first, we have excellent training in de-escalation and we will do anything it takes to stop a fight from happening. If a fight breaks out, our chaplains, of course, have to stand back because their safety is paramount. In one of our centres in Bustleton, our street chaplains have a street chaplain dog. Goes out in uniform, it's a service dog during the day in primary schools. And I've seen this beautiful dog in action. You know, when men are getting a little bit hostile towards each other, the dog sort of stands in the middle of them and they look down and they go, oh, look at this. And then the anger just
goes away.
Yeah, you know, they see some old ladies on the streets who are chaplains and their heart melts because it's motherly. And so we almost feel like we are the mothers on the streets where the police more have to be a little bit heavy-handed and strict like a father. And so they do respond very well to us.
So other than rescuing the kids from the street, what else do the street chaplains do?
So rescuing the kids and also the older ones. So Christmas time, there's a lot of Christmas parties.
Right.
And they're sitting there having a great afternoon and they have one too many sherries. Then they get up to go and find an Uber and suddenly they realise their legs are a little bit wobbly. So it's not just the young ones, it's the not so young, but it's also those who are sleeping rough and those ones that are younger, pretty boys, pretty girls. Once they are intoxicated or have taken drugs, they are vulnerable to predators here in the streets. Let me give an example. There was a man sat on the floor and he was holding a lady and he said, "Chaplains, can you give me some help?" We said, "Of course." He said, "My friend has had too much to drink. Will you help me carry her to that hotel?" It seemed a little bit sus. So we said, "Can we check her out first?" Oximeter on her finger, and we tried very hard to wake her up subtly, and we were able to. And as she woke up, she looked around terrified. She didn't know this man. We don't know what he had given her, but she didn't know him. And he was doing everything he could to get her into a hotel. We see that all the time. Yeah.
It breaks your heart.
It does. If we see a young girl and a very well-dressed man next to her, he had his arm just casually around her and she had a tear run down her face as we walked past. So I said to her, "Are you okay?" And the man said, "Yes, we're fine." I thought, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
So I said, "No." And I sort of turned away from him and faced her. I said, "No, are you okay?" This time, with a much fiercer voice, he said, "I told you we're fine."
He don't
put
want
my hand out to her and I said, "Come with me." And she took my hand and as we walked away, she looked back. She realised he wasn't following. She started to shake and cry. She said, "I didn't know how to get away from him. This is rampant. This happens every night."
We cannot even imagine that.
Yeah, and it's
scary.
not just the pretty girls. It's the pretty boys as well. And so we are non-judgmental. We take our whole focus from the parable of the Good Samaritan that we will help anyone in need who will accept our help. Obviously, if they're unconscious, we will help them no matter what.
Have you experienced any bad thing because of you are rescuing people?
No. People that know me know I'm also a minister. And so my whole focus in life is to help people People that know me know that I used to go back and forth to Indonesia and help people that were facing execution. So no, when they see me helping on the streets, they understand that's who I am. But I feel that every street chaplain has that same focus. They want to help, but they don't know how.
What motivates you to do this every day?
Every day, because I see the need increasing. And as I said, I'm a minister, and I just see the Good Samaritan parable was that he didn't ask why they were in that situation. And that's what I feel a lot of the public think, that these people deserve to be there. It's like the people at the traffic lights with the sign. You know, they are not homeless people, even though their sign says they are. It's actually a well-organised syndicate. But I still give them money, because how vulnerable must they be to have to be doing that job?
So what do you mean they are not homeless?
They're not the true homeless. If you sat there till the end of the day, you would see them pack up their things, and they would either jump on a bus or they would get in a car and go
To their home?
to their home. The true homeless, and one of our patrols gathers at Moore Street, just near Royal Perth Hospital, and all the services are allowed to gather there, the street doctor and the shower van and so forth. And we see the true homeless come there. The true homeless don't want to be seen. The people that you see with a sign,
They are not homeless.
they are in need. They are vulnerable, but no, they're not the true homeless.
So if they are not homeless, then why are they on street?
Because a lot of those people make very good money per hour
Begging
begging.
rather than doing job.
It's really hard to get a job when you look like that.
True.
It's really hard to get a job when you can't produce a resume, or when you can't get access to an email. And yes, those services are available. But once you are on the streets for a few days, everything gets stolen from you. Mm-hmm. That is the fact. And if I took your phone away from you now, you very quickly lose your identity. Very quickly. And so then they get into a rut. You know, there is a safe night space here in Perth, which is excellent. And so a lot of women can go and sleep there.
Where is that?
That's in Northbridge, right near the police station on James Street.
So is that a place to sleep overnight?
They can sleep overnight. They have to leave the next morning and then come back the next night.
Just for a night?
Night by night, yes. And there's a lot of services there that try and help some people. But a lot of the people with the signs, they're not truly homeless. But they're still vulnerable. I need to get that point across. We still need to look out for these ones, because they are in such a desperate state that they've come to the point of begging. We'll help anybody.
You help anybody?
Absolutely. If they're begging, we'll help them. If they're truly homeless, we'll help them. If they're drug affected, we'll help them.
So is there a more ratio with the Aboriginal people in this case?
There is a lot of challenges with the Aboriginal people, but Aboriginal people do family better than most of us Western people. So if you see a house that Aboriginal people are living in, they will welcome family into their home.
Yes.
And so the floors are covered and so forth, rather than see them on the streets. They do family very well. Yes, we see some violence. Yes, we see, some behaviours that we don't love, but there's not so many homeless Aboriginal people as what society thinks.
But
they take care of their own. Normally on one of the last trains at night, you'll see an influx come. We walk a lot of people to trains, a lot. The transit guards are very good to us and allow us to get people on the trains, Ubers, taxis, get them off the street. People that are vulnerable, whether they're drug affected, alcohol affected, whether they're lost, whether they're backpackers. That is a big one as well. People don't think about that. They come here to Perth, they're on holiday, all their items get stolen, then what?
So do you find the same person again and again?
Sometimes, yep.
So how do you treat them?
The same way we treat them on the first time.
Do you not get frustrated when you find the same person again and again?
No, I don't get frustrated because I've realised their situation hasn't changed for them. So we've shown them some kindness, but what's happened the next day? You know, if they've moved away from their blankets and so forth. So if it's winter and you know what the city's like, it's cold.
It's very cold.
And if their mattress is a piece of cardboard like this, we will give them beanies so their heads are warm, socks, blankets, everything to keep them warm. If they leave those belongings the next morning, they'll very quickly either get stolen or thrown in the bin. And so if we come across them the next night, we give it all back to them again. Brand new stuff.
Where does the finance come from?
Whew, the grace of God. We run on the smell of an oily rag. We get a lot of kind donations from different people. Our biggest need in summer, of course, is always water. People who are very intoxicated need water to rehydrate them in order to get the alcohol out of their system, and then we'll clean them up. I mean, we clean them from head to toe because nobody wants a drunk person in a taxi or an Uber. You know, if they smell bad, we've got to clean them up. If they're soiled, we'll clean them up and get them in the car, get them home. Get them off the streets. But if they're homeless, we need to get them warm and dry. In winter, we will give out tarpaulins, because if all their belongings are in a little trolley, and you've seen that little man that walks around with his 2 dogs in his trolley, those dogs need to be dry as well. So we'll give tarpaulins. We give him blankets every time we see him.
Do you have any incident where they come back and say thank you?
Yes, we have a really good rapport with them. I feel blessed to know, you know, the mayor of the city of Perth and the commissioner, but I feel so privileged to walk down the street and I know these ones by name. And I'll stop what I'm doing, I'll go sit on the floor with them and have a chat and talk about what their day has looked like for them. Have they got a meal yet that day? Do they know where they're going to sleep that night? You know, just talk to them about things that are relevant for them.
Have you met any international students in these kind of conditions?
I did on New Year's Eve. There was a man that had come over from New Zealand and all of a sudden he found himself in a lot of trouble. His money had gone, his driver's license, his passport, his phone, everything had gone, and he was frightened and he didn't know where to turn to help.
How do you help them?
Well, first we've got to keep him dry and warm for the night. Make sure he's got something to drink and something to eat. And then we give him a list of all the services. There are no services available at 2 o'clock in the morning.
No.
Crisis care, we ring them and they tell us all our beds are taken for the night. So we know where it's safe for him to sleep during the night, where he won't get kicked in the head, because that's a very real thing, and where they won't try and rob him again. So we know these little safe nooks and crannies in our city, and then we tell him where to be first thing in the morning to get the help that he's needed. It's so sad, but we just keep helping them. We go above and beyond, give them what they need, because what if that was you in that predicament? Cold, frightened, hungry, needing somebody just to acknowledge that you're alive. That's what a lot of the homeless people tell us, the true homeless people. As I said, we love all the people, whether they're homeless or not, but the true homeless people say they feel invisible.
Mm-hmm. There's no one to talk to them?
Well, people just walk on by as if they can't see them. And we saw that with our own eyes on New Year's Eve. That man that was on the floor was lying right next to a bench, and there was people sat on the bench. I said to them, how long has he been lying here? And they said, oh, he was here when we got here. They didn't think to check if his chest was going up and down, if he was breathing or anything like that. And I know people are frightened and they don't want to get involved because they're worried of the consequences. But call for help.
Yeah, they can just call police or ambulance or anything. Mm-hmm. That could save his life.
Exactly. And I am just so thankful to God we got there when we did, because I know it saved his life. As you call 000, they ask you to say when their chest is rising, you know, when they're taking a breath. And his breath was going less and less. And as I said, the 000 said, you guys are street chaplains. Great, you carry defibrillators. Yes. and they knew that he was in safe hands while we waited for the ambulance. We're always so thankful to see the ambulance because they're the experts. You know, all of our chaplains are fully first aid trained, but nowhere near to the extent of an ambulance.
Sure. What do you need to be a street chaplain?
As I said, we are all Christians, but we are from every denomination that you can think of. So that is great because so much diversity. You need to have a heart that wants to help people.
A pure heart.
Well, I don't know if I know anybody that has a pure heart, but not the sort of person that would walk past somebody in need. We can't make life better for everybody, but we can make life better for them in that moment. We provide crisis care and pastoral care. A street chaplain needs to know how to listen, because these ones that have been sat on the streets feeling invisible will tell us they haven't spoken to anyone for days. They'd forgotten the sound of their own voice. So just listen.
Yeah, do you usually take the kids or the young people to a rehabilitation centre if they need?
That has got to be a choice that they have made. Oh, we will recommend options to them. I mean, we carry all the brochures that have all the services and we give them out a lot. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot. But they've got to want to and be ready to accept that help.
That's true. Mm-hmm. So why do you think the homelessness, the addictions and drugs, they are very increasing nowadays with the young people? What could be the main reason behind it?
There's a lot of boredom.
Yeah, can say that. Yeah.
There's a lot of boredom. We see the young people come off the train and head to the city for the bright lights and the thrill of the city. And then they very quickly realise that they are out of their league here. And there's bigger fish out here as such. And they very quickly look for help. We go into some schools and speak to the Year 12 students before they go on leavers. And we warn them. And we tell them stories intentionally that are quite horrific. I can share some stories with you that are really hard to hear. A young man that had come up from Albany, finishing school, thinking bright lights.
In Perth.
Yeah. And a gang of men and women. When I say men and women, I should say teenage men and women.
Yeah.
And they just turned on this man. And we were in the mall and we saw this fight going at the end of the mall. And
oh, you were there?
We were there and we ran. And Yamona, they were using this man's head as a soccer ball. I mean, they were jumping on his head. They were doing horrible, horrible things. And as we came running to him, the chaplain I was with, so thankful, was a very big man. And he was pushing them back as I was on the floor, helping this man. And he was bleeding from every part of his face, his ears, mouth, nose, eyes. It was just unbelievable. And I just kept whispering to his ear, you will live and not die. You will live and not die. And that was one of those situations where I could not bring my phone out to ring 000 because I had to attend to him because he was so badly injured. And then all of a sudden we saw the flashing lights coming down the mall. Oh, we were so thankful. So thankful. This was his first time to Perth North Bridge. There'd been no issues. This group of young men and women had just decided to turn on this young country boy. We'll never find out why they did it, but we're just so thankful that he did live and not die.
So how often do you see those kind of things?
The violence has improved significantly. There are police on nearly every corner. They do such a good job, and their intentions are to help. And we love the fact that we have a partnership with them. So if they come across somebody that is injured but not critical, they'll call us. Mm-hmm. And they know they can do a handover to us, and then they can go and look for those sorts of crimes that need police attendance. And we work very closely with them. We came across a young man and he had been beaten up and put in, you know, those big plant pots that are around the city? Somebody had put him in there, and I was with a big street chaplain. He scooped him up, put him on the floor, and the police were holding the torches over as I commenced CPR to save this young man's life. And we did. We got a pulse. We got him breathing. The ambulance came, and that is just, you know, us working together. We don't know why that man was in that flower pot. But again, if we hadn't seen him, he would have been left there.
He would have died by the next morning.
He would have been a casualty, yeah. But we seem to be in the right place at the right time.
That's a God's grace.
Absolutely, it is God's grace, because otherwise there would have been people found dead. That is not good for the news, and it is not good for people who want to come out to the city with their families. And we have so many people that will stop us, and they were street chaplains. We've heard of you. We're so thankful you're here. New Year's Eve, we were out at the fireworks at 8:30, and, there was no trouble. There was no issues. We'd come across children who were standing there going, I've lost my mum. Those sorts of things. But we started from 8 p.m. and we went through to 5 a.m. on New Year's Eve, remembering all the chaplains of volunteers.
How many people are in your group?
Across the state, about 400.
All volunteers?
All volunteers. Here in Perth City alone, we'd have over 100.
What's the age of the street chaplains?
Well, they have to be over 18, because if we get called into a nightclub to help somebody, we have to be legal and above board. So they have to be 18. We don't have an age maximum, but we carry very heavy bags with a defibrillator, with blankets, water, vomit bags, first aid kit, socks, beanies, everything crammed into this bag. So as long as they're fit enough to walk for 4 or so hours carrying a bag, they can join us.
Do you remember the first day experience, how they felt?
Yes, so before they are allowed to go on the streets as chaplains, they come out and do observations.
Oh.
And so anybody who wants to come and do an observation with street chaplains, you are so welcome. Come and have a look at what we do. And so their first night out, obviously they're excited, they're a little bit nervous, and then once the adrenaline is kicking in and they realise that we are welcomed on the streets, like people do not shun us, they know we're there to help and we're welcomed. As we're walking down, people say, street chaplains, high five, or street chaplains, you guys are like angels, can I give you a hug? We get that a lot, and especially if they have been in a group where the friends have needed a street chaplain, they'll never forget. And a lot of people end up joining us because of what they've seen us do.
Do you ever had a call from the normal people saying that we need you?
Yes, because we give out cards with our phone numbers all the time. So they can call, the one phone that we carry, and then if that team are busy, it diverts to team 2, team 3. We normally have at least 3 teams out on a Friday, Saturday night, and we get calls and they say, can you help us? Our friend has, twisted their ankle, or we carry phone chargers, Yamuna, because young people, they go out and they take 100 selfies because they look beautiful. They do, and it's all for social media.
Yes.
But by 3 o'clock in the morning, their phone's flat. And how are they going to get an Uber? And all of a sudden, you've got these young people who are looking around very nervous. How am I going to get home? Mm-hmm. And so the police ring us a lot saying, can you come with your phone charger? We charge their phone, they can get an Uber, and bang, get home.
And you sit with them all the time and
we sit and wait for them.
Talk to them.
Absolutely. If we have to ring their mum and dad, which is always a last resort.
Might be they don't want it.
Because they know mum's going to say to them, you should have. But if we do have to call mum, for example, if somebody's too unwell to get into an Uber, if they're constantly being unwell, we're not going to put an Uber at risk by having somebody being sick in their car. They lose their earnings for the night. That's not fair.
No.
So if we're waiting for a parent to come, the parents arrive and initially they're shocked to find their child so intoxicated. And then they suddenly have that realisation, what if we had not found them? What if somebody else had found them? Somebody with not so good intentions.
True.
So we say to these parents, don't be too hard on your child. Yes, it's a bad night, but it's not.
But they don't want it that. It happened.
That's right. It's not a bad life. It's just a bad night. And they're going to feel a whole lot worse tomorrow morning.
They're going to regret it. Going out in the streets, does it emotionally hampers you?
It does. As I'm driving home, I'm often replaying scenarios in my head of what I've seen. Did I handle it right? Did we help this person enough? If it's something I've done, first aid, critical first aid, I'm always, playing in my mind. Did we do the right thing? And as I said, nobody has died in our care in 19 years. So I know we've saved lives. But emotionally, I came across a young girl on the streets once, and she was covered in self-harm cuts. She was wearing adult diapers, and she was just in such a sad, sad way. And I had no idea what to do for her. She obviously had some mental health issues. We see that number increasing radically on the streets. There's just such a great need for mental health services. And so this young lady, in the end, hurt somebody as we were watching on. And I was so confused as to why couldn't we help her, and she ended up hurting somebody, not badly. But then I had that realisation, because she had been taken away, she's now going to get the help she needs. So that does play on my mind. When I look at young families on the street, I'm a new grandmother myself, and we came across a young family, really young teenagers, and their baby's cot was a shopping trolley. And I looked at this baby, and this shopping trolley, had cardboard around the edges to try to stop the wind from coming in. And then all of their belongings were also shoved in that trolley. And I just cried and cried and cried. And of course, I got all their details. And I know the services here were very quick to move in and help. But those sorts of things play on your mind, because I think of how that child will grow up, how that child will be parented, and it's just an increasing numbers that we're seeing. And so our chaplains are so well trained to listen and to see what we can do to help in that moment. As I said, we can't provide houses, we can't provide, mental health nurses on the spot, but we can do everything that we can in that moment to make their life better. But yeah, it does play on my mind.
Doesn't it hamper your family?
I have a wonderful husband who's truly supportive of what I do, but he says he doesn't have the patience himself to do it, because he knows I do see regulars, and he says there's been no change. But I believe being a constant source of hope and encouragement will eventually bring that change. And I know that they are on a list, and they are working very hard to get through that list. I know the housing crisis is critical. We all know that. But if we can help them while they're on that list, then that's enough. I'm not on the streets every night helping people. I physically couldn't do it, and we don't ask our chaplains to be. They need a good rest and family first among everything. But it does impact you. And all my family are very supportive. And we make sure when our chaplains start training that their family are also supportive, that they have a network of people around them that will support them on this journey.
So street chaplains are helping everyone in the street. What do you think that government should put up the more things to help street chaplains or the people on street?
More people help the people on the street more so. We are people of faith, and so all of our needs are met. And so we're very thankful of that. We're thankful for new chaplains that come in, and we start a new training group in February, so we're thankful of that. But yes, we would love to see more money poured into services on the streets, more beds to be available in the middle of the night for people who suddenly find themselves homeless, whether it's through DV or whether it's through a child having to leave home in an emergency situation. We'd love to see more beds available for that.
What's the main issue right now? What do you need the most?
More chaplains.
More chaplains.
Such is the need that we could have 8 or 10 pairs, teams out in the streets at night, and it still wouldn't be enough. The city is so big. Mm-hmm. And so beautiful. But it's like at 2:00 in the morning, the wind changes and suddenly the atmosphere changes, and there's a great need at that time. It's a beautiful, clean city. It's so family friendly, and we see so many wonderful families out enjoying it. But there's not many services out after 1 a.m. The City of Perth Rangers are not out there at that time of the day.
But the street chaplains are out.
Absolutely, absolutely, because that is when we see the greatest need. The police are out there working hard. The ambulance is working hard. The security services are all working hard. But in the back streets, if somebody has got lost or has had their drink spiked or is alone, we see so many groups of friends and one gets lost from that group and they are vulnerable to a predator. And we find them and we will stay with them until we get them connected. That is the greatest message that we tell school children. If you go out with 4 friends, go home with 4 friends. Look out for your mate. Stick together.
Do you go to schools, organizations, or the church for the awareness?
We go to a lot of churches and talk about what we do. We go to a lot of schools, particularly around Leavers Week. You know, Leavers Week, at the end of year 12, all the leavers go off on a holiday and it is just wild. Some parents don't let their children go to Bustleton or Rottnest or wherever the party is, and we're always very thankful for that. But they do come to Perth or they do go to Fremantle, and so we are there to look out for them. And we're always very aware of the younger ones because they are the ones that look like deer in headlights, and they look around and then it gets to a point when they realise, actually, I want to go home. And so we'll do everything we can to get them off the streets, get them home.
What would be the last thing you would like to say to the people in the society to keep the children safe?
To keep the children safe, be aware of where your child is going. You know, there's so many devices now that you can watch where your children are. Listen when your child wants to talk to you about what's going on in their friendship circles. That's so important. And be interested. Be interested in what your child's interested in so that they can talk to you about anything. Don't be shocked, but be that listening parent so that you're the one that they can turn to in a crisis. Because when they're in a crisis on the streets, there are a lot of people out there that will say to them, it's okay, I'm here to help you. And they do not have good intentions. Let me share a story of my own child. I was on the streets and I will turn the corner on James Street and I saw a young lady sat there and I could hear her crying. She was obviously intoxicated. And there was a man sat next to her, really well dressed. He had his blazer around her shoulders and she was crying. I don't know how I'm going to get home. I'm so sad. And you know how drunk teenage girls can be. And I can say that because it was my own child. And he kept saying to her with his hand on her knee, it's okay. I'm here to look after you. I'll make sure you get home safely. So I thought, And so I leant into this man. I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, excuse me, who are you? And he said, I'm her beep friend. Who are you? I said, I'm her mother. He ripped the blazer off her shoulders and he took off down the street. We see that too much. She knew I was out working on the streets that night, so she didn't want to bother me. But she was in a predicament that was not going to end well.
How did you feel at that moment?
I had to cancel my patrol. There was many other chaplains out because it's always family first. Always put family first above everything that we do. And I picked her up and I loved on her and I took her home with a bucket.
Safe side.
Yeah, she'd had a few too many sherries and worse for wear. And, you know, young people, they're going to go out and they're going to experiment and we love them through it. We love them through it. None of us were perfect. You know, 18, I don't know what you were like, but, you know.
Everyone is same when we are 18. We want to do everything, explore everything, try new things, go to the new places.
And that is what society is like nowadays. Yeah. So let's be understanding and listen and parent our children as they need to be. We can't always be their best friend. That comes later in life. When they're at that vulnerable age, we need to parent them. But let them know that you are their safe place. They need a safe place. And to people that think, what can I do to help? If you see somebody sat on the floor and you don't know how to talk to them, that's okay. But smile.
Yeah.
Let them realise that somebody has acknowledged them that day. A smile can light up somebody's whole day, that they know that somebody knows they're alive, that they matter to somebody in that moment, that they were seen.
Yeah.
And everybody can do something to help.
Small things matters.
Small things make a big difference.
In this conversation, did I miss anything that you would like to say?
I think you've done a really great job. But again, I'd like to say, if people are curious about what happens in the streets, please come and have a walk with us. Every person that comes and walks with us is fully insured, even our observers. And you don't really know your city until you see what happens after midnight. It is still, I believe, the best city in Australia, in the world. Perth is just magnificent. It is safe and it is beautiful. And I'm just so thankful that Street Chaplains are out there to make it even safer in the dark hours.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Such a great time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. After this conversation, we know that what Street Chaplains do. And as she said, if you want to go in the observation team or if you want to see how Perth City really looks like, you are always welcome. And thank you, Dee, for doing such a wonderful job.
Thank you.